little bit. Alrighty, so let's see. This is going to be a keyboard building stream. I'm going to do another one of these. Specifically, we're going to be looking at, let's see. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to be building this keyboard out. Seems like a pretty standard keyboard in terms of the components here. It's a split keyboard with an encoder right here. You know, basic set of microcontrollers of some sort, whether they are I think these are just the basic standard ones, the Arduino Micros, pretty sure, and then OLEDs here with the diodes here. 58 keycaps. I'm gonna try and see if I can find like, let's see if I can bring up what it will look like in the end. This is effectively what it's gonna look like in the end. This is gonna be a little different from the one I have currently. I have chalk switches, you know, low profile. They are 3x6. My current keyboard is, and this is 4x6. So you get an additional layer. And yeah, so I'll be looking into going ahead and just building this out. I have a set of keycaps to use already. I have switches that were given to me that I'll go ahead and use as well. Yeah, so this is going to be the end goal, and we're going to be starting from all of these parts. Let's see. So let's see, first things first, yes. Good tweezers, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and switch the camera. It's gonna be a mix of the being able to see the webcam from the angle you see at the bottom right now, to then being able to then see what I'm looking through on the microscope itself to make the soldering process a little easier. But we're just gonna run through what's gonna happen now. I already did this one step, which is just to label what is going to be the front end, because effectively what's going to be happening is that when you start doing any of these processes of building a keyboard that are split, is you have to remember that basically this is like a double-sided PCB that can work from either side, but you're going to have to you have to pick a side, you have to pick which side is going to be the left front, because you're going to be soldering things on the back of that one, and then you have to do the same thing with the other side. And if you mess up and you put things, you know, in reverse, which is very easy to do because they're identical PCBs for either side, that's where you run into trouble, and you have to do a lot of desoldering. So I went ahead and marked it with a Kapton tape, I believe that's how it's pronounced, to make sure to know which side is which. So same thing as before, when I've done these sort of streams, is that you got to go put on the back side, and effectively these diodes, which let the microcontroller understand which connection has been made on which side of the matrix, is we got to tin all one sides of it. It doesn't matter which one, but it, you know, it helps if it's all the same. And then you kind of reheat up that same side of solder, and like kind of very smoothly move in the diode into that section. You'll see it's like as soon as the solder starts like becoming more liquid again, you kind of just slide in the diode in the correct position, of course, and then just make sure to then look at the PCB from like an angle, kind of as flat as possible, to then understand that it's flat to the surface. And then the other side to solder becomes really trivial, because the solder will want to connect both the metal part of the PCB and the connection from the diode itself. So effectively, you know, it is, I think it said 58, right? It's like 58 keys. I think that's what it said somewhere. In any case, you have to do, each key is one diode. Same difference for these switches here. Then do belong on the back side, same with the diodes, make sure they're flush with the PCB, yada yada yada. So you see like this marking here, it's like, hey, it should fall on that side, so it should cover it perfectly. So then you got to flip it over, you got to do the button, which is this, the switch, which is that, and make sure it's taped because you want them flush. So I'll be using Kapton tape for that as well. And then once you've soldered that, let's see what else is left. It's like you have the switches, the diodes in place. You have to short these connections because I believe on their own they're not shorted. And again, it's a thing where you have to tell the board which side you've picked is the front. So that is that. That's how you indicate that. And then you kind of have to do this additional work, which I'm not sure if I'll get to today, which is like the microcontroller stuff. I'll have to look up if I have any of these really particular switches. These are really, not switches, whatchamacallem, slots. Like, effectively, these are like more expensive slots, but the whole point is you solder these things in the middle once onto the board itself. Then you have to solder really specific legs onto the microcontroller as well, and you solder the legs to the microcontroller. So the whole point of this is that it gives you the ability to go ahead and remove the microcontroller at will and then reinsert it back in while keeping these headers, these slots here, in place. So that if you wanted another microcontroller, or like a different, either a different one or replace the one that you have currently with a non-broken one, you know, whatever happens, you know, so stuff will happen. So instead of desoldering the heads, these off the board, what you would effectively do is just you lift it up, put in a new one, put the legs back in, and solder those legs. So you're soldering the legs to the microcontroller, but not to the board. The board remains free to accept new legs like that over and over again. And so this is explaining different versions. Prepare the Pro Micro. There are several ways to do it. I've used rounded head pins. So there's this. So you can put it one side or flip it. Bottom up. I don't know why you would do a version 2 where you mount them differently like this. I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to do version 1 because that's how I've been doing it this far. And so in this documentation, it's using these more or less like not proprietary slots, but they have a very specific name to them. I forget, but they're kind of a pain in the ass to work with because they're so small. You can see here in the image that it's like chipped because you need to snap them off. Like they come in a really long row. And you need to basically get the really long row and snap them to like the length you need it. But when you do, there's a high likelihood that this will like break this pin off, but it's like not a big deal if you get kind of like this situation going on, as long as like the rest of the plastic is like kind of strongly gripping the rest of the row. But yeah, and so this is like another kind of header slot there to put in there. This is like after you've soldered the ends there, and this is like you effectively do the same difference is you put like either the special pins or you solder the headers directly onto the board for the OLED. Sorry, right here, never mind. These are just pins, but this is the microcontroller thing I was talking about before. Rotary encoders, same difference, like with the keyboard, the TRS cable port. Rotary encoders would be the same difference. You put them in. They might hug the PCB a little bit, but it'd be safer to put tape across to make sure that's on. Put the keycaps here, and I hoped, like I said, I probably wouldn't get to the microcontroller because it takes a bit, but it would be nice if I can get to this part and just put the keycaps on, just to like confirm everything's fine. And this is actually pretty important to put them on here first, because these snap on really nice, and then once they're all snapped in, they're kind of ready to be seated onto the PCB here, like that. Makes it really, really easy, as opposed to like any other way. I think that's probably the most recommended way to do it. Don't connect or disconnect. It's powered, it may short out. Yeah, I've been doing that. Be gentle with the micro USB ports. Yes, they're easy to break. Firmware stuff, I haven't done that yet at all. Alrighty, so we're gonna go from the top. Let us do the really monotonous work of the diodes here. Oh, shoot. Do I need to restart the stream? I hope I don't. Let me see if I can save it. Yeah, okay. Trying to save it. Oh man, I might need to restart the stream again. This is perfect. I had not plugged in the microscope stuff. And OBS is unable to detect the video from that unless I had it plugged in before. Brilliant. Let me see if I can just like... So that's a microscope. I'm trying to get the webcam as well. The one that everyone was seeing before. Cool, great. I'm gonna have to restart the stream, it looks like, because I need to turn off OBS and turn it back on. Alright. So with that being said, this is a preliminary stream, I guess, and I'll get started then.